Hello everyone, my name is Fox. Today we're going to be taking a look at the SuperPi case by RetroFlag. Thank you very much to RetroFlag for sending these out to me. They are available to purchase starting today, September 1st, 2019. You can see that these are the newer models that have the storage cartridge included, and that's mostly a little aesthetics thing there, but you can actually put in different microSD cards, so it is pretty neat. People that have been following my channel will know that I recently looked at RetroFlag's GPI case, which I still do recommend, especially with the Raspberry Pi Zero W. I'm looking forward to when the Zero is upgraded along the lines of Pi 4, but that's neither here nor there. We're going to be talking about this particular case. Speaking of the Pi 4, these particular cases do not support the Pi 4 just yet. There will most likely be an updated case that will support the Pi 4, so it's only the older Pi models that will be supported. We can see here that this is model B version 1.2. I've already gone ahead and put RetroPi on here, as well as updated and sent the safety shutdown script on here so that we can just go ahead and enable it when we're installing, and we go ahead and do that on video to see how that looks. Here we have the US version as well as the PAL version controllers. Now these controllers, I initially thought that these were just simple rebadges. That doesn't appear to be the case, because these controllers actually have two different modes that you can select when you input the controller in. You can actually switch it to X input or D input mode, which is pretty nice. By default, it will go to X input mode. It'll kind of advertise itself as an Xbox 360 controller, so that's pretty cool, especially outside of RetroPi usage. If you want to just connect it to a Windows machine and have it just work and kind of automatically operate with a lot of different things as applied to automatically assigning keys to an X input. There won't be anything that you need to assign, which is pretty neat. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and set this up with the US variant of the SuperPi case. We'll go ahead and start setting that up. I'll show you how that looks, and we'll kind of step through that. Yeah, so give me a second while I open this up, and we'll start taking a look at everything. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and start opening the US version of the Pi case. We'll see what we get included inside. Here we can see that was just a little clip-on side that will right here. This gets put right on the side just to kind of cover these ports up, as they will be right. Yeah, they'll be right there, so they'll line up as we do it. Here we can see the little eject switch that'll open this up. Micro SD card storage, which is pretty cool. And close that. Then we have the power switch and then the reset switch. Both of these were necessary for the shutdown script, which you're going to need. Go ahead and look at this. Please remove the SD card before installing the Raspberry Pi. Thank you for that notification. Let me go ahead and do that so that nothing breaks. Here is the little storage compartment. We'll go ahead and take a look at that. Looks like there's a little sticker applique that we can put on there. What is this? Oh, there's some 3M, some type 3M tape here. Is this like, here's the magnet. Oh, that's cool. Should we do a Super RetroPi? I don't know which one I like. I think I'm gonna do the black one. We'll put that on there. Interesting. And then micro SD storage. Where is the storage part? So I've actually discovered a few things. So we're just going to clip it off from the back side here. This kind of slides back in together. This little part that was stuck on here, I thought it was actually a part of it. It's this little magnet part that sticks out. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to eject this part again, and then put this magnet right here. Get this right in there. And we're going to use that 3M tape, that double-sided sticky tape, to get this in here. And make sure it's nice and tight. And then we'll be able to close that now, and now we should be able to, yep. And then that goes there. So we're going to put on the little sticker, and then this just holds there, and this will just hold some micro SD cards for whatever you want, if you're not, like, you know, just sharing your Samba share. Pretty neat. So let's go ahead and start building the rest of the case. Alright, very quickly, we'll take a look at the instructions really quick. Seems pretty simple. We'll connect these two to the USB facing, and then there'll be additional here as well as Ethernet. And then we're going to be using these pins to connect to the GPIO. The last 4 pins here, and you can see the red part. So this is empty. And Yep, right there. So it's pretty straightforward. And then right here, it looks like there's a fan header, and you can put in a little fan part here if you need to cool it down, which is pretty interesting, but I guess more in line for caring about the Raspberry Pi 4. Here we can see the safety shutdown switch. I'm going to go ahead and flip this to on because I've already installed it, pre-installed. And then right here, it says make sure power switch at PCB and power button at case, but both off before assembling, because when you want to put these together, you're going to want to make sure that it's, you know, aligning. And this should be a nice satisfying click with all that in there. So let's go ahead and start assembling this, and we'll take a look at the next steps. Alrighty, so I've gone ahead and aligned these up. I put in these two USB. We can see the little parts here that are accessible via when you open up this little hatch that's here, which is kind of nice. But for the most part, you're probably not going to need it because these two will be front facing. You'll be able to easily change these. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the included screws and screwdriver as well as the rubber feet. We'll go ahead and screw those in. They're saying that we should be using the PB 2.5 times 5. So these are the shorter screws. So there's 4 shorter screws, and then there's 4 longer screws that all get put together. So let's go ahead and start doing that. And then obviously you want to make sure that this is all lined up, which is pretty neat. So let's start doing that now. Alrighty, so we screw those in. I only had 3 screws out of the 4, so I've decided to put these 2 down just so that we have a little bit more support in the back, as well as over here because we're going to be inserting the micro SD card over here. Overall, that should be pretty fine. It doesn't look like the heat sinks that I put on there are actually going to get in the way, which is pretty nice. I'm really glad about that. Right now I have more issue with these cables getting in the way. So let's go ahead and just start putting these together. Is that heatsink getting in the way? It might be getting in the way. That might just be a fraction of a little bit off. So this side is fine. And then right around here, should I just try to screw it down? I want to kind of keep that heatsink in line because I like having that heatsink in there. It's a pretty handsome little package. All right, I'm going to go ahead and screw this down and see how far I can get. Just a quick correction. So the reason why this wasn't going down was not because of the heatsink. It's because I wasn't following instructions. You can see clearly here the big red X. So don't put a screw here because that needs to actually come through, and you're going to be screwing the other way around. So now let's see. Yeah, there we go. Sweet. So I get to keep the heatsink on and everything else. So let me go ahead and screw all this down now, and we'll see what this looks like. Alrighty, so that's all put together. Obviously the power switch is in the off position, both here and on the PCB itself, so that we can have a nice satisfying click. This is working. I've gone ahead and put the sticker on the little Super Nintendo cartridge, and that's how it looks. Does it not work? Curious. Yeah, it doesn't see it. It seems like it's got a little bit too much weight for it. How about if I place it down without holding it? It's got like a little hefty weight to it. But we can see it right there, so we'll go ahead and take this off. I'm going to go ahead and put this on the other way so that it clips in correctly. And then we're going to show it playing off a little game because we're going to show off the controllers as well. We'll go ahead and shove this micro SD card in here. Alrighty, so that's in. Nice. Go ahead and take this off. Super. Alright, so that's pretty much set. Now I'm going to wait before I put on these rubber feet, especially because these rubber feet are going to be covering these screw holes. Just want to make sure that everything is working properly before I go ahead and power it on. Well, before I go ahead and close it all up, because I want to make sure it powers on correctly and everything works. Let's go ahead and take a look at unbox one of the controllers, and then we'll see how it goes when we play it. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and unbox this. We can see it says JPad. So this is a JPad. Obviously, you can see right here, there's actually a method to switch between D input and X input. Again, what I had said from earlier on in this video, X input is by default, and that is something that I actually do recommend because a lot of different things, especially just native PC games, are going to auto map to this. So if you just wanted a Super Nintendo controller that's going to work fairly well. It's, you know, plug and play, obviously. This is a solution. I don't know how much this particular thing costs, but it is obviously one method. Here is the 8BitDo Super Nintendo controller, which I obviously do recommend for Bluetooth purposes, but if you just wanted something that was USB, so far it does seem to be pretty well. Hold on, let me go ahead and get some of my other clones. Alrighty, so just a quick look. Here is a very cheap clone. You can see that there is no branding whatsoever. And here is a comparison real quick. And you would see that you can almost see, like, be afraid that, well, obviously that this is just going to be a cheap rebrand of these, but you can see that the select and start are actually raised plastic, whereas these are not. So this is seemingly from a different manufacturer. I have used this already, and these cheap clones are real junk. They're super cheap as well, so if it was just something that you wanted just for nostalgia purposes, these kind of do work, but they just feel so gross. There is also the iBuffalo version of the Super Nintendo controller, which is a little bit more expensive, but once you start getting into this price, you're within spitting distance of the 8BitDo, so I really can't even recommend this anymore. This came out prior to the 8BitDo even around, and this feels a lot better. More to the point is that this is pretty comparable to the Buffalo. So if you were looking for something, this is solid. In any event, let's go ahead and power this up and do a little gameplay test and end this video. Alright, so I got this set up right where my kid's TV is. We'll go ahead and power that on. A little red light shows up. Seems like everything's working now. So I can go ahead and cover up those rubber feet on the bottom. But very quickly, I'll just show you how it works. We'll play a little game, see how everything comes together. Give me 1 second. Alrighty, so I've went ahead and put in Secret of Mana 3, the translated version. Just see how this runs. Whoa now. So that's interesting. One thing that's here, you can see that the red indicator light is now off, so it only seemingly turns on. Well, you guys can't really see it there. So the red indicator light is off on the little SuperPi case at the moment. It does turn on, at least initially. Quickly select some characters here. Get some Mode 7 action going. That's pretty much it. Works really well. Obviously, a Pi 3 can handle Super Nintendo Emulation just fine. I'm glad that the little heatsink mods little heatsinks that I place inside of there are actually still able to fit with inside the case. That's pretty nice. Actually, let me go ahead and test one thing real quick. I'm going to test the Shutdown script, see if that works. Is it working? No? Doesn't seem like it's working. What about the reset button? I don't want to open this thing up. Nope, doesn't look like that is working right now. So I'm going to have to go ahead and take a look and see what the deal is there. So we're going to have to shut down the system manually while I go ahead and fix that. Anywho, that's the SuperPi case. Thank you guys so much for your time, and thanks for watching.